As they all say in these motivational videos, get up early. Like, really early. But who wakes up at 4 AM after editing your last project all night? That is the time I go to bed. Nah, just kidding, I rarely do my edits at night. Waking up early is important, but nearly as important as getting your 7 to 8 hours of sleep. So sleep well and wake up at least 1 or 2 hours before the sunrise so you can go through your morning routine and have a chance to make these epic golden hour shots, because these are one of the key elements of almost every motivational video. You also need to be very motivated to make a motivational video, so
stop thinking. Start doing.
Also get your filmmaking gear ready and let's create a cinematic motivational video. Hey, what's up? My name is Arthur Weiner and I've posted my own version of a motivational video here on this channel. It's called The Skier, so please check it out first before you watch this tutorial. And in this video, I will cover just the shooting part. I will talk about the editing part in another episode because there's a lot to talk about. And I actually believe that most of a story is written in the editing process in this kind of short videos, because it's all about having a structure, a plan of your video, and then you go out and fill the structure with a lot of epic shots from different angles, and then you build the rest of a story in the editing process. I know the directors like Christopher Nolan write their stories almost completely in the pre-production, which is like genius, but in this kind of motivational videos, I think for us small creators it's more efficient to not having a detailed shot list and build most of a story in the edit. I will get to this in a minute, why I think it's important, but let me know in the comments how you prefer to tell a story in your videos. First and foremost, pick a theme for your motivational video. I selected the skiing because it's February and it's Russia. Just kidding, we don't have snow weather all across the year and it's a pretty hot summer here. I also wanted to film something with a lot of movement and speed, that's why the skiing looked like the best option right now. And there are two steps that you have to go through very carefully, and it's your location and your main character. These are the core elements, and if you go wrong with one of those steps or both of them, it will be very hard to make the video impressive, not to mention motivational. In my case, I contacted with my friend Andre, who is a professional actor and he's all into fitness, and in winter season he goes skiing, and I asked him, hey, I want to make a motivational video about skiing for YouTube, do you want to participate? And he told me, yeah, I actually made one skiing video myself a few years ago, let's make it to another level. Find someone who as motivated as you are to make a motivational video. It's a very exhausting process, especially when you're shooting sport videos, especially when you're shooting skiing in freezing cold. You need to make a lot of takes to get it right from different angles, and luckily Andre is also a cinematographer and he knew a perfect location for shooting skiing. He was sure that it is perfect for getting some cinematic shots, and it was a ski resort close to St. Petersburg where we live. I trust him, so location scouting wasn't necessary in our case, but if you're not sure about the location, take your time and go to some locations a few days before the actual shooting. Every time I plan a project, I can't even start doing something without listening to music. After I have an idea in mind, I look for a music that will fit the tone that I want to create. It's like a religion to me. And when I found this specific track that I like so much, I start getting a lot of ideas and types of shots that I want to make. So I actually start editing before I go out and shoot something. I trim down the length of the track to the point where I feel happy, and I start with that. That's enough for me when I plan this kind of video. I just open up the notes on my iPhone and I write down the key scenes that I want to see in the video to tell the story. I rarely write down every shot, I want to keep enough room for creativity on set. Now let's talk about the gear. I wanted to have as compact setup as possible. I mean, it was 5 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 15 degrees Celsius. It was very hard to keep on shooting more than 30 minutes straight, so we had to act as fast as possible. I decided to go with the Sony A7S III because it's very small and lightweight.
И заметьте, это не моя была идея отправиться на лед с камерой Sony. Если что.
and also has some very impressive features nowadays, like slow motion, which is essential for shooting a sport like this. I shot almost everything at 4K 240 megabits per second, 4:2 10-bit at 120 FPS. I wasn't sure yet when I'm going to slow down the footage, so I decided to go with slow motion in every shot. However, you can't use the active steady shot while filming at 120 FPS, just the basic steady shot, but that was enough for me, keeping in mind that it's an action sport video, so a little handheld movement was totally fine. Of course, I used S-Log 3 as my main picture profile, and the dynamic range on this camera is so impressive with the usable 13 stops, I believe. And my mind is totally blown out with its autofocus. I don't know what kind of magic is happening inside this camera, but I was able to use 70 to 200 mm Sony lens with autofocus, and it kept Andre in focus almost all the time. There are slight autofocus moments, but 9 out of 10 it worked perfectly. Speaking of lenses, I used two lenses in this shoot. First is probably my favorite Sony 24mm f1.4 G Master lens for all the close-up and wide shots. That will help us understand his emotions and thoughts better, if that makes sense. And for most of the skiing shots, I used the Sony 70-200 f4 lens. I think it was the best option for this kind of shots, and it also gives this television sports look. For those of you who's wondering how this camera performs in low temperatures, Sony states that it's working from 32 to 104 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 to 40 degrees Celsius, but I actually didn't have any issues with the camera shutting down or stop recording. Initially, I planned to make the entire video on the Sony A7S III, but the weather was so good this day, I couldn't resist and took the Mavic Air 2 with me for these aerial shots. The fun part is that I planned to finish shooting in one day, but in reality, we spent almost all day on the drone shots. I mean, it was so beautiful. How do you think? Are the drone shots worth it, or is it just a waste of time? Well, of course not the entire day. We've shot nearly 50% of the video this day and other 50% the next day, so always use the rule of doubling or tripling the time that you've set in your plan. For example, you think you'll finish your shoot in 3 hours, keep in mind that they will probably turn into 6 or 9 hours. For the audio, I didn't record any audio on set, all the sound you hear was added in post. Again, I will talk about the editing and sound design in another episode. Let's talk a little bit more about the structure of the video and how we move through this location. I wanted to show the skier's preparation process, and I'm very happy that we had a chance to film this. That scene added more depth to the story, and the shots went out so good with the flares and stuff. We didn't know whether we were able to film inside or not, which is risky, and I recommend you always come to a location knowing that you are able to shoot there. I also knew that I need the shots when he's going to the hill, going up the hill on the lift, how he's preparing to ski from the top, and the successful ride to the bottom of the hill. And I mixed this with his failure, falling down, angry, and the opposite, smiling, happy, successful. When I had a chance, I shot a B-roll of nature. That was my plan. All of the notes on my iPhone, the rest of the story I built in the edit. Again, I will talk about the editing process in another video, so subscribe. And last, one of the most important elements of a good motivational video is a voiceover. I highly recommend hiring a professional voiceover artist, especially if English is not your native language, like mine. But I thought, you know what, there is not a lot of text in my video, I will make a voiceover myself. I don't know, I'm curious, do you like my voiceover? Is it sounds good in this video? I think it went out pretty well, but let me know what you think. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more tutorials like this one. But if you did not find this video helpful, come here in Russia and I will talk to you. Just kidding, love ya, bye bye.